thrill me.
I'm gonna name you Kodo. You get a name too, Podo.
I got good news and bad news, girls. The good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
You too? You got a boner too? Blue Steel.
Fucking hell. Right off the bat. Welcome, everybody, to another Keys and Tease installment of the Unkind Rewind. I am sick.
It's a very sexy installment of the Unkind Rewind.
Yeah. I'm going for late night, easy listening radio here.
All night long, all night strong, Josh?
Indeed.
So Josh can be playing the hits.
Yeah, I'm going to throw to Delilah after this.
And then he's going to go work a 1-900 number, apparently, with that voice.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I've been laid up in bed for 3 days. This is...
Just drinking sand and gravel, as it sounds.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good thing you don't do a lot of voice recording over the week.
I mean, there's a reason we're recording this like hours before I drop it, which I don't like to do. I like to have a little more buffer. Normally this would have dropped already, and it has not because I was sick as a dog.
Tuberculosis aside.
Yeah. Consumption aside, how are things, Sean?
Things are going good. Just came back from a little birthday trip for a friend down in Florida. So I'm happy to be able to drink the tap water here in New York again.
Right on. Friend of the pod, Chris.
Friend of the pod, Chris. Hey, Chris. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Chris.
But yeah, it was a little cold for Florida. A little windy, rainy for Florida. I mean, I don't know. They're a hurricane state, so you never know.
Yeah.
They're in that... The zone, the tropical zone.
So is that highs in the 50s?
Yeah.
Is that cold?
Yeah, that's cold. Highs in the 50s.
Yeah. It's a wet cold. It's a damp cold.
Yeah.
A damp 50.
Wasn't great. This was like Atlantic Coast, Jacksonville, St. Augustine kind of area. But yeah, the water quality. Like if you're in Florida right now, I hope you're doing something to combat that. And if you aren't, more power to you. You're going to sound like Josh in no time.
Yep.
A lot of grit in that tap water.
Yeah. I'm aspiring to be Tom Waits now.
But yeah, back in New York just in time for the holiday cheer. Not my favorite time to be in New York just because walking down the streets are an ordeal. Like there's a large percentage of people, not just the McAllister family.
Yeah.
From Home Alone 2, but a lot of people just seem to flock to New York around this time, seeing shows, seeing the Christmas tree, seeing the Rockettes, doing the stuff, but they obviously get in the way of the locals. And then, yeah, I'm kind of winding down my obligations to SAG, the nominating stuff. I have Nosferatu coming up on Sunday.
That's Eggers, right?
That's Eggers.
Robert, not Dave.
Not Dave. But I'm excited. I like Robert Eggers quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next day, I see Baby Girl with Nicole Kidman, and...
Oh, right, yeah.
I want to say his name's like Harris Dickinson, but I might be off a little bit. The guy from Triangle of Sadness, the model.
I mean, I know who you're talking about. I loved Triangle. I know you weren't as wild about it, but I fucking loved Triangle of Sadness.
I just didn't love the middle segment, but I think Oslin's great.
Yeah.
And what he has to say about stuff is, I don't know, lacking in a lot of other cinema. But, let's see. Seeing a lot. I saw The Brutalist again.
Why did you see it a second time?
That's a really good question.
Because I know you were lukewarm about it the first time and ended up warming to it some the second time, right?
Yeah, I just think that first half is so good. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt because that first half was so good that like maybe it was a bad day. Maybe it caught me on a bad day that first time. I think that it's just a testament of making a movie, shoestring budget, and somehow pulling it off. I wanted to go, you know what? It was some bad clams or something. And that first time was a mulligan, but I felt very similar. And in a way, it kind of polarized how I felt. The first time I saw it, I really liked the first half, and I was lukewarm on the second half. Okay. Second time through, it just ramped everything up. I loved the first half now.
Okay.
And I think that second half is just, God, such a hard word for a movie like this, but it's just a little disappointing. And it's so hard to explain why, especially like,
right,
as we're talking,
plot points
without getting into things. But
because
but
I've
if
not seen it yet, and none of the audience has probably seen it.
Yeah, when you see it or when the audience sees it and they're like, Sean, you're wrong, and here's why. Like, I would love that conversation.
Yeah.
I'd love to know that, look, I'm just not seeing something.
Right.
Please enlighten me. So.
I mean, I did really like, have you seen Childhood of a Leader?
No, haven't seen that or Vox Lux.
I only saw parts of Vox Lux. Jackie had watched it without me, and then I saw part of it in passing somehow, but Childhood of a Leader's good.
Yeah, he talked about that at the Q&A a little bit. That's the one I still need to see.
Oh, the second one was a Q&A?
Yeah, they both were.
Right, well, that makes more sense.
They both were.
Okay, you went to 2 Q&As for...
Yeah. Yeah.
Right on. I did see Anora.
Loved it, right?
It's the best movie of the year for me.
Yeah, I think Anora is probably...
I'm not on the SAG nominating committee, so I haven't seen everything, but yeah, of what I've seen.
There's so many movies right now that are all jostling right now for my kind of top spot. There's nothing that has come in there and just absolutely kicked the doors in the way a year ago it was with Zone of Interest for me.
Wow.
But, like, if Anora Walks just runs roughshod through the award season, great.
Yeah, I'd be totally happy with that.
Great. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Wicked's going to have a lot to do with that. I think, like, maybe the Independent Spirit Awards and stuff like that are going to be a bloodbath for Anora. I think it's going to garner a lot, including Madison. But does it have enough to take out the big boys? I'm not sure. But I think that a season where it's kind of anyone's game is much more preferable for you and I, where it's just, you know, crowned early in December, late November, and then it's just a matter of going through the motions.
Yeah, the fact that there's no clear frontrunner right now is nice.
Yeah. I like that kind of swath of options. And
yeah, for as much as I can make myself care about the outcome of the awards, you know? Like, it so infrequently lines up with what my feelings are that I kind of can't make myself care that much, but...
Yeah, I think there should be an Unkind Rewind episode about my nostalgia for the Oscars, because it was always like a kind of a family affair, almost a holiday growing up.
I mean, I still watch it almost every year, but...
Yeah, but there's a lot of cynicism that I think is rightly deserved with specifically the Oscars.
Yeah.
But a lot of them.
I mean, Grammys are even worse if you can believe that. You know, like
Grammys are even worse. Yeah. I care less about modern music than I do about modern film, so I don't spare too many tears for that.
But if we're just choosing which of the major awards for the major media, which award show is like least in touch with the general consensus as to what the best things are, I think Grammys runs away with it.
Yeah.
I mean, Grammys nominates bands that have been bands for a decade for Best New Artist.
Yeah.
Khruangbin is nominated for Best New Artist this year, and I love Khruangbin, but come on.
Yeah, they've been at it for a while.
A long time, yeah.
Also, it does seem like there's a higher benchmark in terms of popularity to achieve when you are going up for a Grammy or even being considered for a Grammy. Right. Like, I've seen kind of the master sheets of movies that are eligible, and they're like ones I've never heard of that are eligible for, say, the SAGs. And like, there's certainly small movies that have won Academy Awards, and not even specifically the acting ones. But every now and again, there's something that'll sneak by, and somebody will get an Oscar for something that, again, 99% of movie-going public has never heard of?
Sure.
Let alone seen.
Any other standouts for you?
Maybe I just am the only one beating this drum, but I think The Order is fantastic.
I mean, it's got my boy Mark Maron in it, right?
It's got your boy Mark Maron kind of doing what he does in the movie, talking in a microphone. But yeah, I just really think from start to finish that movie is just criminally underappreciated. No one's talking about it.
Is that Kurtzel?
It's Kurtzel, yeah.
Yeah. He directed that Macbeth adaptation with Fassbender and... What was the other big one of his? Big in scope, not... I don't know that his movies get huge...
I don't know. You're going to have to look it up. I don't have it right in the... He's an Australian guy, so maybe it was something Australian. But yeah, I think that's... I mean, the big movies that people were talking about, you probably heard of.
He did Snowtown and Assassin's Creed.
Oh, God.
And Nitram, which I didn't see.
So he's worked with Fassbender a couple times.
Yeah.
Josh shouldn't have even said Assassin's Creed because now people have an idea on what the order is going to be like. But yeah, it's a small movie done well. I just think Jude Law is fantastic in it. And I think Nicholas Hoult is also really, really good. But yeah, maybe the next time we talk, you'll have seen it. You can let me know if I'm right or wrong.
Right. I suppose we have some pod biz to take care of.
Pod biz.
So in the Tuck Everlasting episode, I joked that Gilmore Girls scripts were probably like 100 pages. There's a New York Times article from 2016. Do you want to guess how long a script was for Gilmore Girls, which is a 42-minute show? These are single camera scripts, so normal script length.
60 pages.
75 to 80.
Oof. And they did it in 42 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's how fast they talk on Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
And, I mean, dialogue obviously moves the page along faster than action does. And it's basically a stand around and talk show. So
yeah, this is where you begin your dialogue, your first line, like maybe a sentence early while the other person's still talking.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
That
yeah, there's so much overlapping. Yeah. And so my dad texted and said, just wanted you to know that I listened to Tuck Everlasting, enjoyed it a bunch, even the reference to your father, the preacher. Thanks. And then after I thanked him for being a normal Christian and not a mega weirdo, he said that he wasn't sure he was normal, either a normal Christian or a normal person. And then he went and watched the movie, which he insists that he enjoyed.
Well, shout out. Old Man Dugan there. Old Man Dugan.
Yeah. Old Man Dugan. Yeah. So thanks for listening, Dad.
We have a tidbit here from Dan Banks, who said, love the tidbit on the podcast about Glenn Howerton and Charlie Day meeting on auditions for Tuck Everlasting. It's mind-blowing. We would have never had Sonny if it wasn't for that. The movie deserves an award just for that, don't you think? And we did find that Tuck Everlasting won some, what was it, a Saturn or something? Had some like
it was
Iowa
like the Heartland.
regional,
it was like
Heartland.
it was like a Heartland Film Festival that was in Indiana. So it did win an award at that festival.
Not related to Sunny in Philadelphia.
No.
Always Sunny. Okay, well.
Yeah. But pretty amazing.
Great tidbit. You know, I've been in a lot of audition rooms.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of bullshitting, going on with fellow actors. But, like, what was it, right? Like, what was that joke made by one of them to the other that just kind of caught their ear and just was like, okay, like, this could be somebody that I gel with.
Yeah, that I vibe with, yeah. So Jeremy, our guest on the Beastmaster episodes, thought it was mental that we inflicted Tuck Everlasting on ourselves. And then he went on to say that he had to read the book in junior high.
Wow.
And he had a problem with the 12-year-old being groomed then.
We can't really disagree with him that it's mental for us to do this.
No, definitely. I didn't disagree. I mean, I thought that I feel like it was a solid decision to do the movie.
Yeah, no, we concur. We agree with you that this is very silly. Uh-huh. And the decisions we make on the show in terms of movies that we pick are often extremely masochistic.
Yes, almost entirely. It's rare that we're looking forward to a movie.
Yeah. We're looking forward to the discussion of it, but the actual watching
is
an entirely different ballpark. And it is rare. And I don't want to say that.
Although I will say that next week's, and honestly, I think the one after that maybe, but definitely the one for next week, I was actually looking forward to watching.
As a movie or as an experience?
No, as a movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I mean, I'd seen it before, but I have a soft spot in my heart for that movie.
Sure.
You know? Anyway.
Yeah, we agree with you. We're not well.
Yeah, no. This entire exercise is really deleterious to both of our mental healths.
Uh-huh. We're going down, guys.
Yeah. Now on Blue Sky, Gopherball said this might be one where it's better not to know anything about the movie like me. That way the reveal of each new unintentionally horrifying yet hilarious detail is its own little treat. And there are many horrifying details.
Yeah, I mean, however you want to do it. Yeah, listeners, if you want to watch the movie before you come into our conversation with the guests, great. If you want to go in completely blind and have us regale you with something that you have no frame of reference for.
And then still watch it like my dad did.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can pull that move.
Do it however you want,
And maybe that's the masochism talking of like, you want to see how much pain you can inflict on yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
So even though we've given you the cautionary tale about this movie and its problems, you're still like, yeah, 106-year-old man?
104. Same,
104.
It's same in both, yeah.
Yeah, 104-year-old man.
You don't have the benefit of having just edited this episode. So, yeah, I just, like, that stuff's all fresh in my head right now.
Yeah, I will acquiesce to you on any kind of
Yeah, it's been
specific.
months since we recorded that.
Right. But yeah, it was a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll probably stay away from
Teen romantasy?
problematic sexual subplots for a while, but
I'm trying to think.
well, at least underage stuff. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to, listener.
There's one coming up that's not too far down the line.
Okay. I was thinking about another movie that had some like adult stuff that was problematic.
Yeah. Anyway. This week and next week, our guest that we're about to talk to is Mike Wiebe, who is the frontman for both Riverboat Gamblers and Drakulas. It looks like Riverboat Gamblers are playing in Dallas tonight at Double Wide, in San Antonio at Flagship Records on Friday night, the 13th, and then at the Ballroom in Austin, which is funny.
So if you're in Texas, you better be dead or in jail.
Yeah.
To miss that. And if you're in jail, break out.
So Saturday, Drakulas are also playing in Austin. They're playing at Hole in the Wall on Saturday. So you can see Mike on Saturday or Sunday in Austin.
Mike's keeping busy.
Yeah, he's a man about town, and he's always doing stuff with McCuewans too. Best place to find him is on Instagram. His Instagram is rsmikewiebe, and that's WIEBE. So rsmikewiebe. I'll have his social stuff in the show notes. But yeah, the talk with Mike is super fun.
He's a funny guy.
Yeah, he's really funny. He, in addition to being the front man, a very, very active front man, like active enough to land himself in the ER.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Stage
which
diving?
we talked about. Yeah. Oh, stage climbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like hanging from rafters and shit. Like legendary level lunacy on stage. Yeah, so in addition to that, he's also a comic. He does stand-up and sketch stuff, so yeah.
Kind of a perfect guest.
Yeah, it's pretty ideal. Anyway, I suppose, do you have anything left to share, or can we throw to the...
Yeah, I think we're good. I'll have more Kurt movie recommendations next time we talk, but yeah, you got to get on a couple of them. You got to catch up to me.
It's a lot easier when you're on the SAG nominated committee and you can see them all for free.
It does help when I can like.
And when you live in the largest city in the country.
Yeah, and
where literally everything's playing. Honora didn't play. You had seen Honora a month before I did, and I saw it opening weekend here.
I actually just saw Wicked 2, as in TWO. That's how cutting edge New York City is right now. I see it before it's made. Tonight, not related to the award season, I'm going to go see Wages of Fear.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Love
so
Wages
that's playing
of Fear.
down at the Film Forum. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's one of those things where it's like, I have this kind of obligation to see the new stuff, but like I still got to squeeze in, a 1953 kind of French action movie when I can.
Henri Georges Clouzot, yeah. That's, of course, we've talked about it before, actually.
We have.
We have, because it is
vis-a-vis,
the movie that
Sorcerer.
Friedkin adapted kind of for Sorcerer. I was just watching Tracy Letts on one of those Ringer podcasts, and he was talking about Wages of Fear and there's a new 4K release of it. So, yeah.
Have you seen Wages of Fear?
I haven't seen the new 4K transfer. I've seen Wages of Fear, of course.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have
you not seen it?
I have not seen it.
Oh, fuck, man. You are in for a goddamn treat.
Yeah.
To me, it's a 5-star. No notes.
Okay.
Sorcerer is great, too. They're both, like, honestly, they're both 5-star movies to me. But you've seen other Clouzot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Les Diaboliques and...
Diabolique, that was recent for me. That was in the last, 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. I'm in love with his wife.
Oh, cool.
Who's in
Does she know?
Wages of Fear also.
Oh, okay.
She died in 1955 or so.
Yeah,
so.
You're still carrying that torch, though, right?
Yeah, big time. No, I mean, she's like one of those like silver screen stars of yore who's just like
a Grace Kelly.
Yeah, like Grace Kelly. Exactly like Grace Kelly. Where it's just like they're so captivating. It's distracting, honestly. But yeah, she's in Wages of Fear, and she's not in it a lot, but she's great. She's in Diabolique a lot more.
I go in at 8 o'clock. I come out, 2 hours, 40 minutes later, whatever it is. I think it's long.
It doesn't feel long.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited to kind of come out a new man.
But yeah, Yves Montand. His wife's name is Vera Clouseau.
Okay.
But yeah, she's great.
Okay, I'm excited to see it.
He and Melville are probably my two favorite French directors.
Yeah, I'd have to think about that for a little bit.
I definitely prefer both of them to your new wave guys.
Yes.
Not that Melville doesn't sort of dance in the same waters.
Yeah, I don't know if I would drop the new wave guys at all, or if I would use them in my top 3.
Right.
Never really clicked with those guys, but that's.
I mean, Godard did a few things that I'm like. I think Alphaville's super interesting, but I don't know how enjoyable it is. And I don't like Contempt at all. So whatever. We're getting far afield of where we need to be here.
But I mean, a lot of that is Le Samurai and how great that is. That's doing a lot of the work on Melville for you, right?
Oh no, no, Melville. It's definitely not just.
What about Jacques Tati? Have you seen Playtime?
I have not. No.
Oh yeah,
and I haven't seen it. I haven't seen Monaco either.
Yeah, that's something for you then.
Yeah, but no, with Melville, Le Cercle Rouge, Army of Shadows. I've seen both of those in the theater. Bob Le Flambeau is fucking amazing.
Army of Shadows. My God, what a movie!
Yeah. I've seen Pablo Flambeau in the theater, too. I really, really like Melville. Un Flick is just okay, though. Anyway. Yeah. Now to some, not high art.
Lighter fare?
Lighter fare, yeah. Does it start in France? I can't remember. Theoretically in France?
There is,
the movie that we're talking about?
There is, quote unquote, some intrigue.
There is intrigue. Lots of intrigue. Anyway, our conversation with Mike Wiebe and the discovery of what next week's movie will be, which is a movie that I think a lot of our listeners would have grown up watching.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the audience has a relationship to the movie that we'll be doing, and it's a fun one.
I think you've seen it or you've heard of it.
Oh, you've definitely heard of it, and I think a lot of them have seen it.
And the 2 main stars of this movie are actors that have been a part of your adolescence or childhood, for sure. In one way or the other. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's a good one.
Yeah, it's real fun. So, without further ado, our conversation with Mike Wiebe.
Enjoy.
Welcome, everybody, to another teaser installment of the Unkind Rewind, where we are joined by our special guest for this week and next week, Mike Wiebe.
Hi.
Mike, since not all of the audience knows you, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself?
My name's Mike Wiebe. I live in Austin, Texas, and I play in some bands and tell jokes on stage, and I'm kind of a song and dance man, It's
what kind of dance, Mike?
Crunk. I mostly crunk.
Yeah.
Sea walking. See, I'm big in the Crip community, so I do a lot of sea walking.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
You flashing colors underneath that black t-shirt?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's actually full body tattoo colors.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. My nipples are blue, like
it's a lot of blue ink. Yeah.
Yeah.
You look like a Navi under there, huh?
Yeah. Totally.
Or a Smurf. So you're pretty well known in certain circles for your onstage antics.
I mean, I guess. I don't. Yeah.
You've ended up hospitalized for them.
Yeah. I did go to I punctured a lung.
Oh,
and
damn.
I fell off a bar and I collapsed my lung and was in the hospital for a while.
When you did that, did you know something was off right away?
No, I thought maybe I broke a rib, and because they always say like when you break a rib, there's like nothing you can do for it or whatever.
Mhm.
And I just thought I was like, I thought I'd like knocked the breath out of myself and maybe hurt a rib. And I finished it was the last song. I finished the song very poorly, and then went home and was like, man, this hurts. I better drink a bunch and smoke a bunch of weed to make it not hurt so much. And then woke up at like 6 a.m. and was like, this is not good. Something's bad. I got to get to the hospital. And I went and met this guy, had this crazy ER, like, it was just this really intense, like, military doctor guy who was checking me out and stuff. And he got really excited that I was in a band and started just like visiting, because from there that was just a little like pop-up surgery place, those little like Insta pop-up in the strip malls. So then they put me in an ambulance and took me over to like the hospital, and that doctor kept calling me and showing up and giving me his demos of his band and stuff.
Is this a meet cute?
It was a meat scare. There was definitely like a moment where I remember picking up the phone by him and no one was in there, and it felt like the camera was just traveling 360 tracking shot around me, like, where is he?
Was this in Austin or was?
Yeah, it was in Austin.
Okay.
But you're better?
Yeah, I'm better. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess it was worth it then.
I don't think it was. It was really, there wasn't a lot of good that came out of that, really.
Was it a gambler show?
Yeah, it was a gambler show. Yeah.
So you tell jokes now, though, or?
Yeah, I do stand up now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Did you tell jokes as part of the band life, too? Or was that part of the stage at all?
There's a little bit of stuff between songs. I think that you're always like...
Little patter,
yeah, like little riffing, but it's pretty different beast. I was definitely that thing of like, I'm pretty good at I do that all the time, talk in front of people, and then definitely got my ass real handed to me whenever I started doing stand up.
Yeah.
And continue to get it.
I feel like when you do music at a stand-up show or you do comedy at a music show, people appreciate it because it's not what they signed up for.
Yeah, totally.
So they feel like they're getting this little bonus, this little sneaky side aspect of the show. Like if you ever hear, I have a lot of these old recordings from the 70s and the way that they would talk to the crowd. I mean, even Simon and Garfunkel would say like a couple little minor jokes at, say, Central Park, and the audience lost their mind. Now, granted that there were some acolytes certainly in the crowd, but I think when you're at a show and the band starts riffing with you guys, with the audience, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
I always liked a band leader or band person that could riff and was interesting between songs as well. I was always attracted to that. Showmanship. It's part of being a showman.
Agreed. So, did I catch correctly you're in the studio?
Yeah. Gamblers are working on new material. I have another band called Drakulas, and we've finished a record and are trying to figure out who, when, where, and how that comes out. So hopefully that'll come out this year, and hopefully the Gambler stuff will come out next year.
Okay.
Hopefully. There's still a lot of, like, the business end of it. The fun part of the music is the business end of the music that we're trying to sort out and sift through.
Do you have any tours coming up this fall?
No tours. We are playing like a festival in Gainesville, Florida Fest is kind of like a big, and I'm doing comedy at that too.
Nice.
And then Gamblers are going next year. Gamblers are going on a cruise. It's like a punk rock cruise with that band Flogging Molly.
Okay.
And we go to like, it's gonna be pretty fun. I think we go to Jamaica and Grand Cayman and stuff like that.
I'm sure that'll be rough.
Yeah.
Are you the only gambling Dracula? Is there any other bands, mates that cross over to both?
Yeah. The drummer crosses over, and the guitar player in the Gamblers is starting to play bass in Drakulas.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And this is the Riverboat Gamblers, by the way.
Yeah, Riverboat
We've been
Gamblers,
shorthanding it the whole
totally.
time, but
yeah,
people are not going to be able to find you if.
yeah.
Also, the
yeah, it's
Riverboat
true.
Drakulas. We should,
Riverboat Drakulas.
Yeah.
we should
That's
specify.
that's a very special crossover multiverse episode. What if?
Would you have to do that like Dixieland or something?
Yeah, you do that. That'd be cool, like a Dixieland Riverboat Gambler that's also a vampire.
Sure.
That happened in Interview with the Vampire, Season 2, on AMC right now.
You guys are in that, right?
Oh, yeah.
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 That does take place down in Dixie, doesn't it?
It does. It's in New Orleans.
Yep.
Yeah, there's definitely some riverboat action, I think, in there. That show's pretty hardcore, and I mean sex. Like, there's some fucking on that show.
Yeah, vampire stuff, man.
Vampires like to fuck, man.
You got to have the fucking if it's vampire-centric.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting sort of to your youth, what would you kind of describe your childhood being? Broad strokes.
Oh, pretty sad. No, yeah, I mean, not really. I mean, I guess it was, but I will. You know, we were talking about Southern Cal before we started. We were talking about Southern California, and how much I love it out there. And I think a lot of it is because, like, my favorite thing was the TV. I was kind of raised by a television. I had a mom and dad, but television was like real forefront. So every time I'm in Southern California, everything feels like this, like, memory of just like the landscape. It reminds me of, you know, that's all the exteriors and shots from like Chips and the A-Team and Knight Rider and, you know, all the architecture and the landscape. And I mean, even when you're not like specifically noticing like, oh, this is the tunnel from Blade Runner or whatever, Back to the Future, like there's still, even in just the general kind of, you know, vibe is something that I've seen so many times before and something that was always comforting to me too. So now when I'm out there, there's like a weird comforting sense of calm being out there.
Now you grew, I guess I don't know where you grew up in Texas, right?
Yeah, Denton, Texas.
Yeah, okay.
Right outside of Dallas.
I knew you'd moved to Austin from Denton, but I wasn't sure if you'd grown up there.
Yeah.
Were you in football country?
Oh, yeah. It was big time football country. And I was unable to play football, so I was roundly ignored.
I thought you were going to say rounded up.
No, they just ignore you. You were really not, you were, go off to the theater, go be in theater, Mikey.
Yeah, but at least Denton sort of is the right smaller town to have grown up in if you were of that inclination, though, right?
Yeah, totally, because Denton had a college, 2 colleges actually, but yeah, there was like a cool like alternative, you know, stuff.
Yeah, like a punk scene like, kind of, and
a little bit of art scene and punk scene, and you know, skateboarders and ne'er-do-wells and drugs and stuff like that.
Sure, all the stuff you want. Yeah,
all the stuff you want. As opposed to like somewhere like what Friday Night Lights is based off of, like
Odessa, Permian,
and that I've been there in those places, and like, oh man, if you're the kid with dyed black hair, you're the only kid with dyed black hair out there. There was no but so you're still smelling all that. I still definitely saw, like, you know, that weird thing of like adults that worship high school football players and weirdly fixate, you know, these like old men whose kids have graduated high school years ago but still show up to every high school game. Right. Show up to like the team booster practices and stuff like that. It's so fucking weird.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
So weird. So many, and my parents were pretty cool about it, but like so many adults that couldn't fathom that I was in high school and didn't ever go to a football game, you know?
Sure.
Like they still went. It's wild.
I guess we can sort of touch on the movie from your list, which there were plenty of movies on your list that I had no idea what the fuck they were.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There was one with Don Knotts that I was like, I don't know what that is.
I don't even remember what I wrote.
I don't have the list up in front of me.
Apple Dumpling Gang or
Mr.
Limpet or something like that.
It was Mr. Limpet.
Yeah.
But from your list, we went with Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah.
So about what age were you when you would have been watching Cloak and Dagger?
So it came out in 84, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to guess, I think I saw it in the theater.
Okay.
I don't have real specific memories, but I'm pretty sure we went and saw it in the theater. It was a big deal that it was shot in San Antonio.
Yeah.
In Texas. I think it was like, yeah, even though Denton is, like now if something was shot in San Antonio, I don't think that it wouldn't be a thing or whatever. It was just a big deal that a real movie took place in San Antonio. Like, as a family, we'd been to the Riverwalk and stuff like that. And we went back, I think, to San Antonio, like, to the Riverwalk. And for me, I remember being really excited about, like, kind of being able to play Cloak and Dagger. Because I guess nothing else was really getting shot down here. I mean, maybe the exterior opening sequence to Dallas, and that's about it.
This was San Antonio?
Or just in Texas in general, you know? Texas was...
We have one scene from Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, yeah.
But that's after it's still, that's what, 2 years later?
No, it's 85.
So a year later.
Yeah.
And Legend of Billie Jean, too. But
of course, yeah. Just as...
Oh, really?
Yeah, about as widely known as the fucking Don Knotts movie.
Yeah.
So you knew, I mean, coming into this Cloak and Dagger experience, you knew that Henry Thomas was a big deal because of E.T., and you knew Coleman from something too?
Yeah, I don't know where I knew Dabney Coleman from, but he was kind of a fixture around.
He had a good run.
He's from Austin, too.
Is he from Austin?
Yeah, he's from Austin. He got into acting because of Zach Scott, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty ubiquitous back there. He was always... I think there was, I think after this, there was a run there where he was in like 4 kind of one-season sitcoms. And
that was up until the mid-90s. Like Drexel's Class even was, 93 or 4? Yeah.
It was definitely a good time to be Dabney Coleman.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially in this, he's such a rugged man.
Were you the one making the choice on this movie, or how did you kind of get roped into it? Was this something that you would have been interested in seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely I wanted to see it because it was the kid from E.T.
Okay.
That was a huge selling point.
Josh, did we have anything between E.T. and this for a young Henry Thomas? Or was this them cashing in?
Isn't he in that weird movie in Australia in between here and there?
If he is, I hadn't seen that.
Frog Dreaming. Oh, that's right after this. Okay.
But the luster of Henry Thomas was very shiny coming into Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, holy shit. Like, movie of the year, probably in 82 by many metrics.
Certainly by box office.
I mean, didn't it take the top spot from Star Wars at that point?
It did.
Yeah. Wow. Hope he got a good deal.
Did Henry Thomas get top billing in this?
He is... Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So maybe a footnote, a good time to be Henry Thomas as well.
Good time to be Henry Thomas.
But I mean, Dabney Coleman's getting to kind of break from whatever. We don't need to. We shouldn't get too in the weeds. But Dabney Coleman's getting to break from his kind of like up to this point. He's kind of the like 9-to-5 sleazebag boss type.
Yeah.
More often than anything else.
Yeah, totally.
Mike, should we find out from Mike what he how he would paint a Cloak and Dagger picture for people who haven't seen it?
Yeah. So, Mike, from what you remember, and memory can obviously be kind of a hazy, tricky thing, what do you remember the plot of Cloak and Dagger being? Broad strokes again.
Henry Thomas gets a video game with a secret code in it, some sort of secret code of plans, and he runs afoul of some bad guys, some spies that are trying to catch him, and he's aided by his dad. So his dad's a real... I believe his mom is dead. His dad is a real guy, but he has an imaginary character that his dad also plays.
Okay.
Named Jack Flack. And it has to do with a role-playing game. Jack Flack, I think, comes into a role-playing game. So he's often conversing with his imaginary friend, who's his dad. And I definitely remember there being that 80s edge of kind of I think people call it kindertrauma, where they don't really make it. They don't really do it as much anymore. Where, like, I remember feeling like as a kid he was really in danger. And I remember he kills a guy and is really bummed out about it. And I definitely remember, like, because we watched this a lot on VHS afterwards, too. And I remember being like, man, I would have been fine with killing that guy. That was a bad guy, like, definitely not and my parents being like, no, that would, not in those words, but going, no, that would fuck you up if you killed a bad guy. No, not me. I'm too tough. I'm from Denton, Texas, Mom.
Yeah. You're not one of those pussies from San Antonio?
Yeah, I'm not one of those pussies from San Antonio. My jams have skulls on them. I'm a skateboarder.
Now, it's filmed in San Antonio. Does it take place in San Antonio?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's San Antonio as San Antonio, not not Dallas serving as Detroit like in RoboCop?
Yeah, totally.
And just to clarify, you saw this in the theater, but then it became part of the video library or something that you returned to on cable, or how did it keep recurring?
I'm sure both. I think we probably taped it off of cable.
Okay.
We had the 3 channels. There was a summer, I remember, where I think cable was really like kind of booming, and there was a bunch of deals, and we had like all 3 channels this one summer. We had HBO, Showtime, and Cinemax.
Okay.
And I remember all channels were playing the same thing, and they would just kind of schedule it around different days. And I remember a year where I definitely watched Cloak and Dagger, Clash of the Titans, and Star Wars like every day. Those 3 movies were on literally every day. It took forever for E.T. to come out, though. I feel like E.T. didn't come out till years and years later.
They were probably milking the home video market.
Yeah.
The rental market for it.
There were no stabbing weapons in that as opposed to daggers, lightsabers, and swords from Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a store-bought Cloak and Dagger. This was a bootleg.
Yeah, we were big into that. The Wiebe family had just stacks of VHS tapes, 3 movies to a tape.
Do you remember what else was on the tape?
Fuck, no.
Okay.
God, I wish I did.
Sometimes it's EP and you have 2 movies. Sometimes it's the LP and you got the 2.
Yeah.
So who would be providing this? Is this a parent? Was this a
my
sibling?
dad. This was my dad. He was the tape master.
I think we're past the statute of limitations on this, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could record off of cable. It was not illegal, Sean.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we definitely did the illegal thing, which was...
Yeah, dubbing the rentals.
Yeah, I
get a rental.
really wanted to do that, and my dad was like, no, it's wrong. I think I hooked it up one time, and then he was like, no. And he was also like, you're going to break the VCRs doing that. Like, I don't think you're gonna, but he was just.
But we're talking a premium cable taping.
Yeah.
Which means no commercials, nothing.
No commercials.
Cuts, all the cloak.
All the cloak, all the dagger.
All the cloak, all the dagger. Great.
They showed Henry Thomas's beeve and butt.
Maybe a director's cut.
Mm-hmm.
No, generally speaking, were there movies that you were and weren't allowed to watch as a child of this age?
Yeah, there was a general no on rated R movies. Okay. That was about it. And even sometimes a few of those would kind of like, if my dad had watched it and given it the thumbs up, then it was cool. Yeah. So for the most part, I don't remember there being much that I wasn't allowed to see.
That you wanted to see.
That I really wanted to see. Yeah, that I wanted to see. There was very little. I mean, there's definitely some VHS boxes that look interesting with monsters and stuff, but I was probably young enough that I was a little scared to watch any horror movies that I wasn't allowed to see.
So what about Cloak and Dagger do you think appealed to your younger self?
I think that it was a kids having adventure. Definitely. Kid adventure was a big part of it. I remember liking that, like, him and his little friend were able to, like, they were able to go around, like they were like getting on buses and going around. I thought that was so cool that they seemed to have their freedom around town. And I remember thinking it was so cool that it was just a movie that was talking about or acknowledging video games. Mm-hmm. I remember being really bummed that wasn't a game. I think you could get that game, I guess, but I remember it wasn't on like an Atari 2600. They're playing a different type of Atari, like a more expensive version that none of my friends had. And I never played that game, but I always.
Yeah, it was made for the 5200.
I never met any kids that had the 5200. Did y'all have friends with one of those?
I never had an Atari.
Okay, yeah, I'm old.
Well, I mean, I was born in the 70s also. I just didn't have an Atari. The first gaming system we had was a Nintendo, but we didn't have a Nintendo until like Super Nintendo was out like 2 years later.
So 1990-ish.
When we got a Nintendo, it came with Mario 3.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, so that's 89 or 90,
Yeah.
I think. Somewhere around there.
I think it was 90 when we got it.
It's also when The Wizard came out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's
Video
where we saw
Armageddon.
Mario 3.
Yeah.
Propaganda.
I saved up. My Nintendo was a mix of a birthday present and saving up all summer delivering papers.
Okay.
For a friend of mine was out of town for like 2.5 months in the summer, and I took over his paper route. And
Were you on a bike?
Oh, yeah. In Texas. It couldn't have been as hot then. I mean, really,
Yeah.
I don't have...
Statistically, I think you're right.
And because it was... I can't imagine doing that now. It would be
Yeah.
It'd be like deadly. Like it would be.
Mm-hmm.
You could get hurt doing that now.
Right.
Plus, you're a lot older.
Yeah. Plus, I'm a lot older. Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
What memories do you have that stick out most about Cloak and Dagger? This could range from your personal experiences with the movie, hanging out with certain people watching it, and anything that sticks out about the movie to you.
I remember there being a little, and I don't even remember what it is because I don't think there's like. I remember it being a little bit of a bummer. There's like pieces of it that are a little bit of a bummer. Like I remember. And maybe some of it is him like freaking out and crying after he like kills the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And
First one's the hardest. I mean, to be fair.
yeah. Then he gets a taste for it. But I remember reacting to the fact that he is growing up without a mom, and there's a bunch of scenes that address that. I think that they have like a talk about it, and the ending where he's kind of.
Well, don't give me too much.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, there's just some bummer stuff around it. Some like real life. There's a little bit too much real life for it that made this separate from like the Goonies or something.
Mm-hmm.
The Goonies I remember just being this is the exact kind of adventure that I want to have, and there's no real stakes in it. But this having like life consequences, I didn't really appreciate that as much.
So you don't think that Henry Thomas has a bunch of rubies in his marble bag at the end of this movie?
I don't think so.
With One-Eyed Willie's ship sailing off into the Pacific? Okay.
And a body floating down the fucking Riverwalk.
If I remember the ending right, no.
Okay. When do you think the last time you saw this was?
Oh, man. I mean, I'm going to guess like maybe like early 90s probably. Okay. It would have had to have just come on, because I remember at some point, like even within the collection of videos, as the collection of videos we had grew, it was like, more exciting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Was, I would have rather watched Laser Swords and, anything that didn't have any bummers behind it. And then at some point, once, a couple years later, I was into like those horror movies that the boxes scared me on the cover. Mm-hmm. And I was able to see them and had like new older friends who were allowed to rent anything. And yeah, just kind of grew out of it really quickly thereafter. So it probably just came on and I watched it and was like, oh, that is San Antonio. And then haven't really even thought about it. It's not really talked about too much.
Sure.
Josh, what about you?
I actually never saw it as a kid. I saw it in the early aughts, probably right around the time we would have been working together at a fucking Splatterhouse.
It's too bad you guys could have talked about it back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But somewhere right around that time, I would have seen it just because I hadn't seen it. And I was like, I may as well fucking check it off. And
you're a Coleman fan, right?
Yeah. Dabney Coleman's awesome.
Yeah, so that's probably what did it for you.
I think it was just sort of I'm a weird, like, if I haven't seen something, I'll just fucking watch it.
You're a consumer.
Yeah, well, and like of arcane things. Mm-hmm. And so like the weirder and more random a thing is, the more inclined I'll be to watch it. Like I just watched this really bizarre J. Lee Thompson movie starring Shirley MacLaine just because I was like, what the fuck is this? J. Lee Thompson doing like a fucking ultra camp comedy.
Who's J. Lee Thompson?
J. Lee Thompson did like Death Wish 4 and fucking Conjite.
Forbidden Subjects.
Yeah, fuck man, that movie is insane.
She was molested on the bus.
He did like all these weird dark Bronson movies in the like 80s.
Yeah.
Okay.
So him doing like a 1962 or maybe 64 ultra camp comedy starring Shirley MacLaine, but with Paul Newman, Jack Palance, or no, Robert Mitchum, Tony Curtis.
Jeez.
Or no, not Tony Curtis. Sorry, fucking Dean Martin. Like, it was a really star-studded cast that was very strange to me that I hadn't heard of it, and there was a reason.
Yeah, there's usually a reason.
Yeah, but if it's something, I tend to want to check those things off.
This has been at least 30 years for me. Was a video store kind of walk by, like, oh yeah, I haven't seen that. I've obviously loved kind of Henry Thomas. Had wanted to be him, of course, watching E.T. E.T. was certainly on heavy replay in the house, but Cloak and Dagger was just a single rental one time, and I associate a lot with the night that my mom finally let us buy the Cheese Whiz that you get in the nacho cheese that you heat up in the microwave. Yeah. I think she was terrified it was going to kill us, and we finally not peer pressured, but broke her down.
So you remembered Cloak and Dagger for Cheese Whiz.
I remember Cloak and Dagger and probably some like old Dutch Tostito chips with a bunch of that Cheese Whiz on top. Yeah. You can't separate those two for me.
So, Mike, what expectations do you have for your return to Cloak and Dagger?
I definitely, it's talked about a lot more now, like that whole kindertrauma, like the 80s were darker for kids movies. So I'm really interested to look at it with those eyes now, like, because that was just a lot of movies back then, and I'm that's kind of what I'm most excited to see about how fucked up and dark it gets while maintaining like the kids movie aspect of it.
It's fucking nuts how much it happens.
Yeah, it's wild, and I don't know. I mean, I don't follow kids stuff enough to know now, but like from what I can tell, it doesn't happen anymore.
No.
There's no like bridges like that.
Yeah.
Happens a little bit maybe in horror.
Yeah, Bridge to Terabithia, I know, is kind of a fucking bummer kids movie, but it's not often.
Yeah, it's horror is kind of like the last thing. There's like weird, obviously kids that show up as like part of It or Babadook. Like horror is kind of like the last, area. I mean, even the kid in Marriage Story didn't have it too bad.
I thought you were going to go with Hereditary. That kid got it bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hence the horror genre. Yeah.
But a movie that's
both
like
those kids got it pretty bad.
Marketed. I mean, this movie was actively marketed towards children,
for sure.
As opposed to, I mean, I guess it was marketed to families as well. But it definitely, you knew you were going into something darker than E.T. I think.
Right.
Even E.T. had a lot of that trauma. I mean,
yeah, totally.
There's some things in that still stay with us visually.
Yeah, man, Henry Thomas could put on the waterworks for sure.
Yeah.
I always see, like, it always pops up his audition tape for E.T. where he's just losing his shit.
Like, what a fucking natural.
And Steven Spielberg, like, at the end was like, okay, kid, you got the job.
Like, Jesus Christ. Like, we're not going to find anything better than that.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It's where you walk out into the casting room and go, the auditions are closed.
Yeah.
And all these parents with their kids, who were like, have memorized the lines. Just sad trip home.
Has that happened to you, Sean?
Yeah, Henry Thomas has taken a lot of work from me.
Henry Thomas is a Texas guy, too.
Yeah, he is, right?
Yeah. He definitely is. He lived in San Antonio, too. I have friends who grew up in San Antonio who used to hang out with him and stuff and say he was a really nice, down-to-earth dude.
Yeah, he found a little footing kind of later on with The Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah, that Mike Flanagan guy puts him in all his stuff.
Yeah, he was in the last one, too.
The Usher?
Yeah, House Usher.
Yeah.
Do you think you're going to like it this time, Mike?
I'm definitely wondering how I'm going to feel about it. Because I didn't love it before, Like, I remember, like, feeling like, it's Cloak and Dagger's pretty good, but it's kind of a bummer as a kid, so I don't know how I'm going to feel about it now.
Yeah.
I'm excited to find out, though.
That's the risk, Mike.
Yeah, that's the risk.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're rewarded.
Yeah. So, Mike, where can listeners find you?
Oh, I'm on Instagram at RS Mike Wiebe, and I don't use Twitter very much, but I'm on there too. It's at Mike Wiebe.
Okay. And that's WIEBE.
Yeah. And the McCuewans on TikTok.
Okay.
If you are in that hellhole.
Is that another band?
Oh no, sorry. That's just me and a comedian friend of mine do a thing where we pretend to be a married fundamentalist Christian stand-up duo.
Yeah.
And we
Nice.
do like live shows and do songs and stuff like that. But we started a TikTok account that we don't put that much time into. But people have found it. It's got a decent little following.
Yeah. So you've got records coming out for Drakulas and
Gamblers, but
in the next year.
Yeah.
Drakulas should be this year, though, right?
Hope so.
Hope so. Yeah.
Hope so.
And then you're back to performing stand-up.
Yeah, totally.
And is that mostly at rooms in Austin, or are you doing
Yeah,
regional?
rooms in Austin. We'll see what happens this summer. Might try and get out of town a little bit, but
Right on.
And then Crips.com is where people can find your gang.
yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It's you can also look up Blood's Drool,
Yeah. Is that org?
cripsrule.org. Yeah.
That's an
Okay.
org. Okay.
Yeah, that's a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the calligraphic tattoos of that on your back.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
post a lot of those.
Mm-hmm.
I just had somebody spray paint on my back, and then somebody went and tattooed over the spray paint
Nice.
so it could be real accurate.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the blue.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
all
oh,
the blue.
yeah.
Okay,
That's the blue. Yeah.
man. We finally, I think this is our first on the Unkind Rewind.
Oh, yeah.
At least admitted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually I pick more tattoo-based movies, but
Yeah. Sorry.
actually
Well, we'll
one I could watch, but it's from an older time that I haven't seen forever, is Colors. And I
Oh,
wonder
yeah.
how
Okay.
that would go down.
Yeah.
I'm guessing
like-
we'll get to colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the first gang LA gangsta movie.
Yeah.
And I don't think they got it in it just right yet.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was Boys on the Hood.
Yeah, totally.
Don't think they landed it. Well, Mike, thank you for joining us this week. Looking forward to watching this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mike, I'm excited too. This is
Yeah.
first time in 30 years.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Yeah, me too. I mean, it's probably 30 years for me too.
Tune in next week when Mike finds out how this holds up.
Yeah.
When we cloak and dagger,
Will I be scared?
we have some kid trauma.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe this has a adult trauma.
Yeah. It'll
We'll see.
unearth some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kinder trauma, senior trauma,
Mhm.
perhaps?
Well, let's hope. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
You've just listened to another installment of the Unkind Rewind podcast, mining and potentially ruining your childhood for content, one film at a time. Unkind Rewind is a Munchcast production and can be ingested wherever you listen to podcasts and on the Unkind Rewind YouTube channel. Music for this and every other episode of Unkind Rewind was composed by Divorcio Suave. Rate, review, like, and subscribe to Unkind Rewind on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and Good Pods. Links to all our social media accounts are in our show notes, but you'll find us as at Unkind Rewind Pod on nearly every social media platform, all of which are available at our website, unkindrewind.com. If you have a question, concern, complaint, or feedback, you can email the podcast at unkindrewindpod@gmail.com or call into our call-in line, area code 507-479-6440, and leave a message that can be played on air. Fans should join the Munchcast Discord to discuss this or any other episode of the Unkind Rewind with like-minded people. This dialogue may just make it into a future episode of the pod. The Unkind Rewind Patreon will be coming soon, so start squirreling that pocket change away. Thank you for listening to another Unkind Rewind.